friends, it's Jeff. We're celebrating here at Around the Circle. Our Start Here podcast, which helps folks find their type, has been the #1 Enneagram podcast on iTunes all year. This podcast channel just passed 6,000 subscribers and 2 million downloads, and we're closing in on 1,000 free members at aroundthecircle.org. More than this is the 1-year anniversary of our book. Around the Circle is out on Amazon. Kindle version is just $9. Audio version has all kinds of extras, or you can get the uber fancy print version, which has our mistyping guide. But more than this, we're moving to want to connect with you more. Real Enneagram work. We have been very aware recently. Real Enneagram work often requires real conversations. And so as we enter the next season, we're going to focus on creating more online panels and workshops. So this month, we're talking with members about coping style and how each of the types solves problems on Mondays. Our second Saturday workshop will begin hitting a new topic in August when we have 30 or 40 people assemble. And every Tuesday night, we continue to have our reading room, which presently we are wrapping up Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart. It's on emotion and exploring how emotions overlap with the Enneagram. Also next month, and this is new, I'm going to begin speaking exclusively with men about their experience of the Enneagram. We don't often hear from men reflecting on their inner lives in these spaces, but those who do engage the Enneagram often have extraordinary stories to tell. So I'm going to try and get men together, talk shop. So if you want to connect, very easy. Go to aroundthecircle.org. Sign up for a free membership, and you will get all of our announcements, all the links to all of our free stuff. Or if it's time for you and your family to do some serious work, become a $20 member. All the links to our online classes and conversations will open up for you, and we would love to meet you. That's what I got for this month. I'm Jeff. May all good things be yours.
Hey everybody, welcome to Early Access. Before we get into today's episode, I have a very exciting announcement for you all. If you have followed me on Instagram, you will know I've been teasing this for a few days. But I am starting a cohort program in Cincinnati. For those of you who don't know what that means, a cohort is, in this context, a group of people who sign up to learn Enneagram for a year. So this is going to be for the calendar year of 2027. There are 4 weekends. They will be listed in the show notes. They're also listed on my website where the application is. You will come to Cincinnati from wherever you are. You will stay. They are all Friday, Saturday dates, and we will learn Enneagram together. It kind of has something for everybody. If you are a theory person, there's going to be lots of theory. If you are a connection person, the reason it happens in person is because, theory only carries you so far. You really have to make connections with other people to really be able to see the Enneagram working in them. So the cohort, I'm so excited because to me, it is the best way to combine those two things. It is certainly theory heavy, but it's also connection heavy. It kind of has something for everybody. The other reason I'm excited about this, and the reason I am attaching it to this episode, is that it is not just me teaching. Schewee is going to be teaching with me. Also, freak out moment. So if you have ever wanted to learn from Joey, if you have ever wanted to learn from me, if you have ever wanted to do a cohort, but they were too far away or you couldn't do it for whatever reason, this is your chance. You all know me. I won't repeat my stories about being in the cohort, but this is the thing. I think if you have listened to the podcast, if you have read the books, this is the next step for you. There is something about the Enneagram that can only be accessed when you are in a room with other people doing this kind of work. And this is where it happens. So if that calls to something in you, if something in your brain or your heart kind of stood up when I said that, I want you to apply. I think it will be really, really fun. I'm super excited to meet all of you. I'm really, really, really looking forward to it. If you have any questions, send me an email, send me in a message on Instagram. If you want to apply, I will link the application in the show notes as well. Again, it is also on my website, ninefold.life. I am freaking out about this, you guys. I'm so excited. This is my favorite thing to do ever of all time is teach like this, teach in person, be in a room with other people. If that sounds like something that would be fun for you too, we would love to have you. And without further ado, let's get into the episode. Welcome to Early Access. I'm Katie Whitlock. I am super excited today. I'm here with a family that most people probably, if you're clicking on this podcast, will recognize the name. I'm here with Billy, Will, and Sam Schewee. I'm really excited about this. A lot of you know I was in Joey and Billy's cohort last year. I was in Suzanne Stabile's cohort 2 years ago, and I'm really excited to get to talk to y'all today. That's all I have to say about that. I'm going to have you all introduce yourself. We'll go in birth order, so we'll start with Billy. Billy, can you tell us who you are, what you do? Just on the off chance that someone is like, who are the Shewees? Can you tell us kind of who you are, right? Who you're related to, all the things?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for having us. I'm Billy Schewee. My day job is as a program director at the University of Texas at Dallas. I work with high school students and college students to help get them ready for college. My whole career has been in education. I was a teacher and a principal for a number of years and a professional development trainer of teachers and principals. But what I really love to do is work with the Enneagram. I went back to school and got a master's and a doctorate, and my dissertation was on the Enneagram for educators. So I'd like to flesh that out at some point. I was taught the Enneagram by an Enneagram master, Suzanne Stabile.
The Enneagram
I
master.
now I am married to an Enneagram master, her daughter, Johanna or Joey Stabile Schewee, and I consider myself Enneagram knowledgeable. We are surrounded by the Enneagram. We talk about the Enneagram. We try to do the best we can and use it in the ways that it helps everybody. And so this is a perfect example of that, getting to sit down and talk about how we try and do life as a family with the Enneagram. So this should be fun. So thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard. It's hard to feel anything other than like, okay, when you're standing next to Joey and Suzanne. So I understand. Okay, Will, I'm going to have you go. Go ahead.
Yeah. Like my dad said, thank you for having us. My name is Will Schewee. I'm a 4 on the Enneagram. I'm the oldest son of Joey and Billy, and I am 20 years old. I just got done with my sophomore year at Hendrix College, going to be a junior in the fall. And when I first started at Hendrix my freshman year, I walked onto the lacrosse team. So that's my main thing outside of going to school that I would say that I do.
Yeah, sure.
I've also known the Enneagram for most of my life, at least for the time that I can understand it.
All right, Sam, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Sam Schewee. I am 17 years old and I am a 7 on the Enneagram. And I will be a senior at Richardson High School in the fall. And just like Will, I play lacrosse. Been playing since I can remember, pretty much my whole life. And yeah, I've just been surrounded by the Enneagram, so I know enough to get by.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
Do you have any college plans, Sam? Or are you tired of people asking you about that yet?
I will be joining my brother on the lacrosse field at Hendrix.
Fun.
So I'm very excited about that.
Okay, wait. Okay, sorry. Can I ask a stupid question? I'm 27, so that means I've forgotten everything about high school somehow. When do you apply to college? When you're a junior, do you know where you're going to college already?
If you're going to play a sport, you should narrow it down
Okay.
at the end of your junior year. But if you're not, you have pretty much like halfway through your senior year to decide.
Okay, I thought I remembered it my senior year, and I was like, do I remember that correctly? Okay, great. So now that everybody knows who everybody is, I want to get into some family dynamic stuff. My first question is for the boys. You kind of already answered it, but obviously you guys have been raised by parents who know a lot about the Enneagram, right? Is there any time in your life that you do not remember the Enneagram being a thing in your family? Like even when you were young? Or do you feel like you've known it since like you could talk?
I would say that I've really started to get more and more into the Enneagram when I turned 13. So when I became a teenager, I would say started to learn more and more about the Enneagram. But from a very young age, I was understood and I knew that I was a 4. And me being a 4 and me being a young 4, my entire life, I've lived a life where my parents and everyone around me has understood who I am as a person. And as a 4, that's very big. So sure. I would say, yeah.
Yeah, forever. Sam, do you remember anything like when you were young, not knowing the Enneagram?
I didn't really start like understanding it until high school.
Okay.
Like when I was in middle school, if I can remember, they would have talks about Enneagram and I would listen, but I wouldn't really understand it.
Sure.
And then they started to kind of teach me more about it when I got to high school, and I'm starting to understand it way more.
Did you not understand? Okay, I hope this is a question I can ask. did you not understand it, or were you just like young and you were like, I don't care about this. I've been hearing it since I was 2 years old. Like, get out of my face.
A little bit of both, I'd say. Because I mean, what they talk about, it sounded kind of boring,
Sure.
but now that I'm starting to understand it more, it's really important in our world. So
Yeah,
yeah.
fair. Okay, so now that I want to get that from the boys, so Billy, I could ask you this question. I normally don't ask the parents this question, but you are one half of, the Enneagram parents. So you and Joey obviously knew Enneagram, right? Even before you had the boys, right? Like you knew about it, right, before you got married. So I know a lot of parents listen to this podcast. What kind of conversations were you and Joey having when the boys were real little about when to bring this up, how to bring it up, what like developmental stage did you like, I'm sure you weren't talking to the boys like they're 7 and a 4 when they're like 2 years old, right? What kind of conversations were you having about that?
Yeah, I felt like we weren't overly eager to identify them earlier than they should. We just kind of, being a parent is hard enough as it is, right? So we were just trying to do that. But we felt like when they were really young, elementary school, you can kind of identify the stance that they're in just by how they kind of show up day after day. And then right around double digits, so about 10 years old, we could, it was pretty clear, we thought, what each of the boys were Enneagram number wise, just because we studied it so much, right? Like it just kind of presented itself to us, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah.
And we were kind of on the lookout, like what if they're this, well, then we need to be like that. And
Right.
if they might be this way, then we need to operate a different way. But at the end of the day, you can try and anticipate all you want, but the best way to show up is just to be the best version of yourself. That's what we really tried to focus on. And boy, as young parents, that's even harder because life gets so challenging and, it's hectic, and your Enneagram number taps you on the shoulder every 15 minutes, as Suzanne would say. And so that's kind of how that went for us. Their numbers just kind of presented along about the time they were about double digits, and we took it from there. And it turns out that was right. So
how old were you and Joey when you had Will?
Will is 20. And so we were 27 when Will
That's
was
how old
born,
I am.
and
That's
30
crazy.
when Sam was born.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's my next question. You kind of already brought it up a little bit. It's for Billy again. Can you walk me through? I'm actually interested in both of the phases you talked about. So elementary school, like you saw their stance, and then 10-ish, you saw kind of maybe specifically what number they were. Do you have any good stories from when the boys were little, maybe for each of them, about like maybe the first couple times you kind of saw their number come out and what you recognized?
Yeah. From as early as we can remember, Will was always an old soul. The word we used a lot for him was pensive, right? Like he just always looked like he was digging for something deeper, right? Which was not normal for young children, right? And so at the elementary school lunch table, like when you would take them lunch and the boys are talking about potty humor and Paw Patrol, Will he wasn't asking like existential life questions, but he didn't get the same entertainment value as most boys that age would. Like he wanted to get to know his friends on a little bit deeper level, which is why it makes sense that 4s can present as too much for the people in their lives, because other people don't understand that, right? The other thing that we noticed with him was the fluctuation of emotions. There would be car rides from home to school and back where it would be we were laughing, we were crying, we had a serious talk, and then we had a talk about sports, and it was 15 minutes, right? And so that made it seem like pretty early on that Will was most likely a 4. Sam, we knew pretty early on about him because it just seemed like everything sort of came a little easier for him. We would go to the McDonald's play place, and when we left, he had 10 friends that all knew his name.
That's great.
And yeah, He was always bringing people on board with what he had as an agenda, which would involve some fun and would push the envelope quite a bit. And one of the stories that sticks out from Sam's childhood that I like to talk about is when he was in preschool. So not even in kindergarten yet. We had both boys at a really great preschool, and we would, they have the charts where there's a
Sure.
grid, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's the days of the week across the top, and then there's the list, the roster of students in the class down the side, and then at the bottom there's a key. 1 equals did not follow directions. And we would go, and then all these kids would just have little smiley face stickers for weeks across the board. And we would go, and there's I don't know, a half an inch square, and there would be like a 1, 4, 6, 8. And you're like, Sam. And so, I always felt like when I picked him up, I'm just kind of like,
Sorry.
thank you for what you do. Like, God bless you as an educator for doing this. And then, a couple of times a year, we would go in for the parent teacher conference to kind of get the updates.
Yeah.
So we would have like binders, like, okay, like we're bracing.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. This is when we're going to get the lowdown, all the stuff, how we're not doing our very good job as parents, suggestions on how to be better. Like, they're going to refer us to all these resources in the community.
Some specialty.
Do better, right? And we would sit down, and every single teacher, after all of that, would say, we just love Sam. He's the best. And that was it. Like,
You're like,
okay,
okay.
we were prepared for the worst. And that to us was a good example of how 7s are charming and disarming.
Yes.
I've always said that they are a good litmus test for the efficacy of teachers. Sam's best teachers brought their A game. And when he started doing 7 things, they knew how to redirect him.
Yeah.
He knew how to respect those boundaries, and they moved on. Some teachers that didn't operate at that level
Sure.
drove them insane. He drove them crazy because he just knew how to push all the buttons. So,
Sam, is that a respect thing for you? Do you respect your people who can hold you to a line and really not fall for the like charming stuff, if that's the way to say it? Do you respect those people more, or is it just annoying?
Yeah, I feel like it's more of a mutual thing. Like, if you respect, like, because these are kids, like, they're 7 or 8 years old, and if you're not respecting them, then they're not going to respect you.
Yeah, sure.
So the teachers that did respect me, I responded with the same. I would respect them. I'd listen to them, and it would be good. But if they didn't, I mean, I'd try and get them to realize that not respecting kids is not, like, it's not going to work out.
And respecting kids to you means holding you to a boundary. Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah. If you're always looking after the kids and making sure they're doing good, then you're going to do good as a teacher.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So boys, right after what all of your dad said, I like to think back and think of, so I'm a 3, like when I first felt my 3-ness, like I feel like in high school, my 3-ness was like really, really bad. When you look back, is there any certain part of your life where you remember like, oh, maybe this is the first time I remember really feeling like a 7 or a 4? Like, this is a really good story of when I was young. Do you guys have any stories like that? Either of you?
I don't have a specific story, but I will say I think a time in my life where I really felt myself and understood myself as a 4 was middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Middle school, I mean, I don't think middle school is a good time for anybody.
Word.
But when I was in middle school, I was in a really good group of friends that I had been friends with since elementary school. And there were a few of my friends that were a little more popular than the others. Everything kind of seemed to go their way. They never really had any issues with anything. But in middle school and high school, one of the big things that my dad always told me was, if you can get out of high school without a relationship, you have won.
Like a romantic relationship?
Essentially, yes. Like a one-on-one connection relationship. But from a young age, I felt like I wanted something, but I didn't really know what it was.
Yeah.
I just wanted the idea of it. But when I was in middle school, I remember I was driving home with my mom one night, and I think it might have been something along the lines of, I liked a girl, but she didn't like me back. Or I saw one of my buddies was dating somebody and I wanted that, but I couldn't have it. So I was just super upset about it, but I didn't really understand why.
Yeah.
And I feel like as a 4, that's really kind of when I understood I have all these emotions and all these feelings, but at the same time, I don't really know why I'm having them, if that makes
Yes,
sense.
it does.
So that I feel like was kind of the period of my life where I was starting to understand myself more as a 4
Yeah.
and having those feelings.
Kind of had you. I say that my 3-ness had me by the neck, like at that time in my life. And I don't know if you would relate to that, but yeah, I understand. Okay, Sam, what about you? Do you have any, when you look back, when do you think your 7-ness started to really show up for you?
When I was in 6th grade, so how it worked with the elementary we went to is we were supposed to like go to Wilson and then Plano Senior, but I transferred to Auto to go to Plano East. And it was, so 6th grade was obviously weird because it was Corona and all that. But
you were in 6th grade when COVID
COVID.
hit?
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I think it was like halfway through 5th grade, like March of 5th grade.
That's wild.
We came back like March of 6th grade, so it was about a year. It's crazy. But like the first week of school, I met a guy and he was really cool, and he invited me to his birthday party like the second week of school,
Right?
because I was just able to become friends with him that
Yeah.
quick. And yeah,
And you were
I
like,
mean,
oh,
that's
this
what
is nice.
yeah, I mean, I kind of realized I'm pretty good at making
Yeah.
friends. So
Where
yeah.
where does that come from? Why do you think you're so good at that?
I definitely think it has a lot of confidence.
Mm,
Because if you have confidence, it's easy to talk to people because you're not afraid. You're not thinking. You're kind of just,
sure.
I'm gonna go talk to someone, and if they don't like me, that's okay. But if they do, then that's awesome.
Right. Just simple as
So,
that.
yeah.
Got it. Writing that down. Sam, okay, this is my last question about this, and then I'll ask you one of my real questions that I prepared. This is going to sound like a question that is a crazy question because it doesn't really have an answer, but I'm interested in what you have to say. Sam, why are you so confident? Where does that come from?
I really don't know. I mean, I hope it comes naturally. I hope I'm not like copying someone, but yeah, I don't know. Just kind of being original just seems
Oh,
nice.
what does that mean? Talk more about that.
Just like being my own person, because like since I can remember, all people wanted to hang out with me, so that was awesome. But I never really knew why. But I think they kind of feel like they can be their self around me. So yeah,
that's great. So your mom talks about like 3, 7, and 8 always having the highest confidence, and I've talked a lot with people who are not those numbers about why we're confident and why they might whatever, and like they're not. And I said one time when I really thought about it, I think I have to be confident because thinking about a life where I'm like not in control of myself and being confident is like way scarier.
yeah.
And I don't know if you relate to that at all, but like thinking about not being able to be confident in myself and like how that would feel, that's really scary to me. So,
Yeah.
I wonder too. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Sam,
No,
but
go
I
ahead.
wonder, because 7s are in the fear triad. It's a fear of loss of freedom. I wonder if this is a subconscious thing to think about. If I don't show up as confidently as I do and kind of massage my environment into what I want it to be, then somebody else is going to call the shots. And then therefore I lose that freedom. And so it's in order to assuage that fear, you operate that way. That's possible.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay, so this is a question for the boys. Now you get to talk about your dad. So he talked about you. Now you get to talk about your dad.
Let's do it.
So we'll start with the good stuff. Can you talk to me about your dad being a 9? In what ways do you think that was very helpful for him as a parent? What do you like about him being a 9? What about being a 9 made him a good parent? Things like that.
Well, first of all, I know everyone says this, but I really do believe that I have the best dad ever, because he has always been positive. He's always been supportive no matter what. But I think a thing that I love most about my dad is the way he kind of shows his love.
Mm.
My grandfather, his dad, he, you know, he wasn't a very touchy-feely guy,
Sure.
but my dad, he says I love you to us all the time. He shows his love for us daily. And I think that's one of the things that I love most about, my dad and being a 9, because 9s, I don't think, are afraid to show that. And I think that's why 9s make the best parents, because they can have the positivity, but they can also see both sides of things. So they're not just giving positivity, they're also bringing in another side of the story. If I ever had something going wrong and I was so angry at a person for something that they did, my dad could kind of come back and be like, well, if you think about it from their perspective, and then he gives reason with it, and then it kind of makes it's the best of both worlds, because
Sure.
he agrees with me, but he also lets me see where the other side of the story comes from.
Was that ever frustrating?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Talk about that.
I think, yeah. So, and like, one of my, I know it's a kind of a two-way street. One of my favorite things about my dad is how positive he is. And it's also one of the reasons that it's also one of his things I don't like most about him all the
Best
time.
thing about you,
he's
the worst thing about you.
always positive.
Yeah.
Because I remember one time we were at a restaurant. It was me, my mom, and my dad. And I was telling my dad about something. I was telling both my parents about something, and he was being positive like he always is, and giving the other side of the story. And I just looked at him like, why do you have to be so positive all the time?
Billy, where does that come from? Yeah.
Well, I remember you saying your positivity is annoying.
Oh, there you go. Your positivity is annoying to me. That was what the thing I said was. Yes. Sorry.
And that's one thing that I've really had to work on. Positive outlook, 2 7s and 9s are in the positive outlook competency group. And that's a natural reaction. And that can be good. And it can also be a negative, because especially when parenting a 4, 4s are all about authenticity and being genuine. And if something is going wrong and I try and spin it into a positive, that's not authentic. That's reframing it, if you want to use a 7's term, or just that silver lining isn't always the best way to look at it, right? So what I've had to learn is, yes, from my perspective, show the good and as far as I see it in whatever the situation is, but also don't go the other way. Also be supportive. Just sit with Will in whatever it is he's going with, and not try to make it something that it isn't, but just prove that I'm there for support.
Sure.
I can't ride the highs and lows, but I can be supportive until it gets worked through. So, yeah.
And so one more thing I'll say about this is, me growing up and me having my dad as a 9, his positivity and his positive outlook has actually helped me with my relationships and my friendships with people.
How so?
So I believe that I think my girlfriend, Sam, she's a 9, but she has an 8 wing. So whenever she's kind of in the 8 wing, she refuses to see the positive outlook on things, even though she is a 9. But I think having my dad as a 9 has given me perspective, and it's made me the one who has positive outlook. The one who always expects the worst and is always glass half empty. I kind of have to explain to her when she's frustrated about something that it's all good. Like, it is going to be okay, Or if she, like with me, when I was younger, whenever there would be 2 sides to a story, now I'm explaining it to where there is 2 sides of the story if she's frustrated with somebody or something didn't go her way. So I think that's a big part of having my dad as a 9 that's helped me, as I'm getting older.
How do you think you would have reacted to the stuff Sam was saying if you didn't have your dad as your dad? Like, what would that have looked like normally?
I think that I would have been how I was in middle school and high school, and I would have been reactive, and I would have been all of the emotions that she's feeling. And while that would have been supportive for a little bit, in the long run, I don't think it would have helped her in what she was going through. I think she has to have someone who kind of, even though she is a 9, I think me having that positive outlook brings her back to a calm state.
Yeah. What's the calm? So Billy, you know this. Boys, I don't know if you know this. Sorry also for calling you boys. That felt weird as I said that.
It's okay.
They're boys.
I feel like we're
all
like the same age, even though we're not. Anyways, my fiance is a 9 as well. And that's this. I think it's like, I know that it's really important for him when he's kind of getting spun up like that, like you said with Sam, to provide like a calm space. Like if I was like, yeah, that's crazy, we should all get spun up about it, like that would not be helpful for him. So I imagine that skill is very good for you to have. Okay, Sam, what do you think? What's good about having a 9 for a parent?
I do think he is positive all the time, but one of my favorite things about him is that he's always calm.
Tell me why that's important to you.
Whenever anything went bad, he would come with the positive, but he would come with a calm gesture. And like he never really gets flustered, he never gets mad. He's always calm. And like if I had a bad game or something, he'd still tell me, "Good job. You did great. You did what you can. And you got to move on." So, yeah. I do think he's the calmest person I know. So
I don't want to ask this question. Why was that the most important thing to you, being calm?
I would say I am a very competitive person because losing is just one of my least favorite things ever.
Sure.
And if we lost something, but it wasn't really like that competitive, like if I lost like a board game or something,
sure,
I'd get mad, but then he'd be there to say, just play another game or something. Yeah. Like he wouldn't say focus on the bad. He'd say like, just focus on what you can do. So
what I'm hearing in both of your answers is something that your dad has that really balances you out. Like something you feel like you don't carry with you, and so you kind of need to look to him or like learn from him this specific thing. Does that ring true for both of you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so well, now I'm interested to see what the pattern is with the other stuff. Billy, before we talked real good about you, do you have any last words to comment on before we say the hard stuff? Do you have anything to say about either anything the boys said?
I'll just echo a couple of things. I feel like 9s, not me, 9s can be good parents because of a few things that they're naturally gifted with. One, the ability to see all sides. When the boys are going through something, I immediately try and see it from their perspective. And I take it even further, try and view it from everybody else who was involved in their perspective to try and come to some sort of logical explanation for the reality of whatever situation they're in and then take it from there.
Sure.
2, I just naturally don't react. I'm just not in that reactive group. I just try and stay calm because that's how we like to keep our peace. We have this internal domain that we don't want flustered ever, and we try like hell to keep out anything that could disrupt that. And I think that can be a good thing for sure, keeping everybody kind of calm and level. And then third, this is true for me. I don't want to throw any 9s under the bus, but for me, I just don't have, when I look at my life, even when I was young, I didn't go, I'm going to conquer the corporate world. I'm going to win these awards. I'm going to earn these credentials. I'm going to go. What I wanted was to have what I consider to be a simple yet extremely fulfilling life. I wanted to be a good husband. I wanted to be a good father. And I wanted to have a job where I contributed to something that was greater than me. And that's it. And so I think that's been helpful as a parent because if anything work related or professional ever got in the way of anything at home, then I just didn't do it.
Yeah. Sure.
Right. And so I want to show up for the people in my life, and I don't want anything to get in the way. And I think 9s, generally speaking, kind of operate that way.
Yeah.
And so that's been helpful for a parent for me.
Was it ever, okay, I want to put you guys on blast. Was it ever frustrating for Joey, that whole like, well, the boys have a point? Like, was that ever frustrating for her? Like you bringing that, like if you're trying to, like they did something bad and you have to hand down a punishment or whatever. That is one of the things I'm not looking forward to as the partner of a 9. So was that ever frustrating for her?
Yes, yes. We talk about that all the time because, again, it goes back to how you naturally are motivated, and
Sure.
what your natural reaction is doesn't have to be what you actually do. How you're wired isn't ever going to change. How you behave, what you say, that's all controllable. So, yes, if the boys would come home and they got in trouble at school, my natural thought was, okay, well, what was the scenario?
Yeah, what happened?
What made Sam throw the pencil across the room? Like, can we get some context so that before we say anything, right? And sometimes that's helpful. Sometimes there's a thread to be pulled at, and sometimes it's just straight up. You can view it from as many angles as you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
To hold your child accountable
And
for a
Sam
mistake
threw a pencil
that they
across the
made.
room.
Right.
Yeah.
There was no context to be had. It
Yeah.
was a mistake was made, a conversation needs to be had, a punishment needs to be handed out,
Yeah.
and then we need to move on.
Sure.
Right. And so, yes, conversations behind closed doors happened quite a bit before we ever, made decisions with the boys. And that was something that I needed to really deal with in order to make the best decisions in terms of a parenting unit. Right. So, yeah.
And this is my last question about this. What does it feel like as a 9 to make the decision that is going to upset the boys, right? Or they don't know that you see it from all sides, all the things. You have to make the decision that's going to upset somebody. What does that feel like?
It's not easy, even to this day, knowing what I know and having experience and doing it wrong and then getting it right the next time or whatever. At the end of the day, you have to do what's best for kids.
Yeah.
Right. It's obvious, but we get caught up in the day to day. We lose sight of that sometimes. And so what's been helpful for me is to, even though I'm naturally oriented towards the past, really think intentionally about the future. In order to avoid conflict, turn a blind eye to something that I know is wrong, fail to show up in terms of a hard conversation or handing out discipline, how is that going to negatively affect the boys when they become adults themselves? And if I have a hand in that, then I just can't do it.
Right.
And I won't lie to you. There are times where I do. If I rationalize it in my head, well, that wasn't that big of a deal. We're having such a good day today. The sun is out.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm not going to call him on this. If it happens again, I'll do it then. Yes, I do that sometimes. I won't lie about that. But when I'm in being the best version of myself, I can sit down and in my own way muster it up so that I can do what's best for the boys.
Right. Okay, so boys, I'm back to you. So, to be clear, this next question, I'm not asking you to talk shit about your dad. That is not what's going on. I'm asking, as a 4 and as a 7, what was hard about having a 9 for a parent, right? So how do 4 and 9 not get along, and how do 7 and 9 not get along? Will, you already mentioned a little bit about the positivity stuff that you were talking about?
Yeah.
Do you have any other words to say about stuff that was hard?
Yeah, I would say that one big thing is I am very much like my mom in that whenever something happens, I'm reactive, and I have a lot of intense emotions and feelings about the situation at hand. Whereas my dad is not. He doesn't have it in him to be angry or super reactive about the situation that happened. And I think as a 4 who has all of these intense feelings all the time, it's really hard when I, try to talk to my dad about something and, it's just a very even keeled response. But I'm expressing all these intense feelings to you. I need something back. It's give and take. I need give and take.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't think it'll, happen because he's not reactive like I am.
So if you didn't know the Enneagram, right, if none of your family knew what that word was, what would you think was happening in your dad?
If I didn't know the Enneagram, I would think that maybe my dad doesn't care as strongly about what's going on as I do.
Sure. Because if he cared strongly, he would have big emotions about it.
He would
obviously.
he would show it. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that not, okay, this is a separate question from your dad. But also as someone who's in that heart triad and wants relationships and all the things, right? I always get so scared to show real big feelings because I feel like I'm going to lose people if I do that, right? I don't even know what question I have about that. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? Like, do you not have that fear that you're going to like lose people if you have this big reaction? Or is it like, I don't want anyone around me that doesn't feel the same way? Does that question make sense?
No, yeah, it does make sense. I would say that growing up, that was a really big fear that I had, that my emotions and feelings about things would be too much for people, especially in middle school and high school, because, most teenage boys are not showing any feelings.
Sure.
Whereas I am showing feelings all the time, and the feelings that I do show are very strong and intense. But as I've gotten older, I've kind of seen that I'm using that to my advantage. I would say because I'm so passionate about things, about, any topic or any situation that happened, like my friends tell me, well, I can give advice with that. But I've also learned over the years that however much they give to me, that's how much I'm going to give back to them. If someone comes and talks to me about how they're super pissed about something, then I'll get on their side and I'll feel super pissed with them.
Yeah.
Whereas if somebody comes and talks to me about something that happened, but they're very quiet about it and they want me to keep quiet about it, then I'll kind of see that in my brain and I'll be like, okay, they don't want me to,
do this big
be
thing.
super, make it a big thing.
Yeah.
So I'll keep it also down low on the radar.
That's impressive, first of all. So does it feel almost like involuntary? Like you said when you were younger, yes, I was scared that people would think I was too much, but like, and yet here it is anyway. It just feels like I don't like.
Well, I would say when I was younger, I didn't know how to control it.
Yeah.
I would just burst out, and then, I would have to deal with everything later because I didn't know how to control it that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good. Okay, Sam, what about you? So back to, being a 7 with a 9. What's hard about that?
So I've been thinking about it, and I can't really think of anything he really does wrong.
Sure.
But one thing I do think is that he doesn't really open up sometimes.
Talk more about that.
Sometimes he'll, with his body posture and with his facial expressions, he'll seem down, and then when I ask him about it, he'll say, I'm all right.
And you
when
can
I know
tell
he's not okay, and then he'll show it in other ways where, like, if he makes a mistake, then he'll get mad, and then I know he's not okay because he doesn't get mad. So, yeah, just not being open enough, probably.
Okay, Billy, I'm going to have you respond to that in a minute, but my first question about that, Sam, I think it's so interesting that that's what you picked, because never in a million years would I expect a 7 to only because you're feeling repressed, right? So I was not expecting your answer to be around feeling. Talk to me about that. Like, why is it so important for you to be able to read your dad, Or maybe that's not what you said, but why is that so important to you?
It could be just because he's my dad, but I do feel like when people around me aren't okay, then I'm not okay.
Oh, got it.
I think I always want everyone to have the best time they can, and if they're not, then I feel like I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah. So would it be the same? Okay, this is a funny image, but like if your dad was having literally the best time of his entire life, he's having the best day he's ever had, and he was just sitting there like blank face, but you knew he was having the best day of his entire life, would that bother you as much? Or is it only when it's like, oh, I can tell something's wrong?
No, but then if he does express it like that, then I'll ask him about it, and then he'll probably tell me why. But he wouldn't say anything then because he had the best day of his life.
Yeah.
Because then if I knew that something wasn't okay, then I'd talk to him about it and he'd open up. But if I didn't know something was okay, then he probably wouldn't tell me.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out why he's mad and what I can do to help him.
Sure. Okay, Billy, your response.
That is a good example of, as a 9 parent, because of dealing with anger. right?
Okay.
As people who know the Enneagram know that eights, nines, and ones, they're in the gut triad, and anger is the most easily accessible emotion. Eights show it outwardly, ones typically in the form of resentment, and nines just bottle it up, but it comes out in other ways. And so I think those are the ways that I don't show up as my best self as a nine parent. When I am angry about something, my natural reaction is to say, I'm fine, it's okay, say less, just keep your head down, do more things and work through it, as opposed to just having an honest conversation. If I was upset about something and Sam asked, just saying, man, I'm really upset about this and here's why, and then have it be out in the open and deal with it so that there's no confusion. Because I noticed that I did that when the boys were younger. There was a time where I was working 60 miles from where we lived. So that was the
60
one way commute.
miles.
So that was tough.
That's crazy.
Right. That was a good 5 years where I was on the road a lot, going to and from work. And so I'd get home just exhausted.
Yeah.
And the boys were young. And if they wanted to go play basketball in the driveway or something. And there were days where, of course I want to be there for my boys, but there are days where I'm just so tired. I just want to sit here for a while, but I don't want to say no to the boys. But when I say yes, I'm not giving an honest answer and I can't fake it very well. So maybe I'm not going to play against them, but they're shooting and I'm rebounding, right? So they're shooting and I grab the ball and I just throw it back to them and I'm deadpan and I'm not giving much effort.
Right.
It's confusing for children who go, Dad said yes to this activity, but everything about his body language is saying he doesn't really want to do this. But when I ask him about it, he's saying he's okay. But you see what I'm saying? And that
What's
is a
going on?
way in which nines can get themselves in trouble as parents by not just being honest about what's going on. It's okay to say, I'm tired, I'm upset, I don't want to do this, and I love you, but I need some time to myself for a while, or something like that, because they don't feel like they're allowed to do that, maybe in their own minds, that they're being selfish by saying that. But in reality, the irony is they're making it worse by not being honest about what's going on. So.
And I think it's interesting that you brought up anger at the beginning of that. Because like when Sam was talking about it, I was like, oh, Joey, like, what's your name? Billy. Oh, he's tired. Like that second example you had, he's tired or he's just not feeling great. And I thought it's really interesting. Like you immediately were like, oh, he's talking about when I'm angry.
I would be willing to bet 90% of the time that he looked at me and he'll go, are you good?
Yeah.
It's because I was angry about something. And on top of it, this happens a lot with nines. I get angry at myself for fill in the blank.
Sure.
And it usually doesn't have to do with something I've done. It has to do with something I have not done. And so then there's this double anger happening, but I don't say it. It's all happening internally. No one in my life knows what's going on because they're not mind readers, right? And so the best thing you can do is just open up and own it and let the chips fall where they may, because at least it's honest.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, so I've asked a lot of questions about parent and son and all the things. So now, boys, I'm going to ask you about each other. If you can you, I want to hear about your dynamic as brothers. So again, like as a 4, as a 7, what is it like to have a 7 for a brother or a 4 for a brother? What are the really fun things? What are the hard things? How would you describe your dynamic to somebody, right? That was 30 questions. Feel free to answer any or all of them. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think I would say one of the things I love most about Sam is he doesn't ever really let life affect him that much, regardless of what it is. Whether it's something positive or it's something negative, he usually has the same reaction to kind of everything. He's very go with the flow, and it doesn't seem like anything bothers him, which to a lot of people can seem pretty annoying, you know, because they're all dealing with all this stuff that's happening in their lives. And then here's, in my case, Sam, who just is, doing his thing, and it doesn't seem like anything affects him. That's even positive. Like, of course there's negative things, but that can happen, but even positive things, he just kind of brushes it off, and that's
a good point.
That's really respectable.
Talk to me about why you say that's a positive, because I agree with you, but I'm interested to hear why you think also being able to brush off positive things is good.
Because me as a 4, I know, and I've known from a very young age, that the world is it can be a very scary place.
Sure.
And for him to, him being 17, he'll learn more and more about the world as he gets older. But even from a young age, just seeing the same expression and how he goes about life is really interesting, because me, we're, I'm both ends. I'm very far on positive and negative, where he's just right in the middle, and he's just kind of just continues to move forward in that same spot.
The steadiness is
The steadiness,
a skill. Yeah. That's great. That's great. I love that you talked about both the negative and the positive. Can I tell you one other thing I loved about what you said that I thought was very sweet?
Yeah.
When I have asked you your favorite thing about your dad and your brother, what you said was what I love. You started both things. You said what I love the most about my dad or Sam. And I think no one says that when I ask them that question. Like, no, that's not how people hear that question. I think that's very sweet that you said that.
Thank you.
Okay, Sam, you're welcome. Sam, go ahead. What's your favorite thing about your brother? Or what's the hardest thing about your brother? Whatever.
What I love most about Will is that he is. So I don't get emotionless very often, but when I do, he is every single time. He is always emotionally available.
When you don't get emotionless, or when you don't get emotional. Okay.
When I don't get emotional.
Okay, you don't get emotional very often. Got it.
Yeah. But when I do, like if something happened at school and it wasn't like it was a bad thing, first thing I do when I get out of school is call Will and I'll talk to him about it. Because he didn't really get in trouble that much as a kid, as much as I did.
Sure.
But he's always willing to talk about whatever. And I do think that one thing I think I can do better, like is more negative about him, is about how emotionless or how emotional he is. And that sometimes whenever he needs someone to vent to, I can't be emotionally available to him.
Sure, hold all of it. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's tough. Is Will helpful for you in that way because he can match you and you're like, oh, this is so great, someone's matching the intensity? Or is it like Will doesn't even think it's weird or bad at all to like it's so normal to Will to be able to have big emotions like that? And you just said you don't get emotional very often. I imagine it feels weird to like have those big emotions and just to be next to someone who's like, oh, this is normal.
It's definitely about the normal thing.
Yeah.
Like whenever I talk to him, he's normal about it. He'll respond to me and he'll answer me with the same intensity. And it's always good to talk to him.
And I'm hearing from both of you that, again, that's like the best thing about you is the worst thing about you and vice versa, right? Like that's also like if you are not equipped to handle it and on this one day, that can be really hard. Like that's what you both would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Billy, I'm going to throw it back to you. How do you see your sons connecting with each other? How would you talk about their relationship and what brings them together and what's hard for them?
I would echo a lot of what both boys said. They looked similar when they were younger in that whatever we were doing or whatever was going on, they both were looking elsewhere for different reasons. But Sam was very much this is great. What else can we do? Right? Like we're at the place that I wanted to go, but we've been here for 5 minutes. What about another place?
Yeah.
Yeah. More is better. Let's stack experiences one on top of the other. Will couldn't help but see a piece that was missing. We're here. This is great, but there's something else that could be right.
Yeah.
And so knowing the Enneagram was helpful for Joey and me because that can lead to ingratitude, of course.
Yeah.
But that on the surface is not it. It's just being wired the way that you are. So they look similar in that way. What they talked about in terms of how they complement one another is spot on. Sam can get Will to feel a little more confident and be okay in his own skin a little bit better by just modeling that for him.
Sure.
Will can call Sam on his stuff when he needs to be called on that, and do it from a brotherly perspective, right? Like, you hear it from your mom, you hear it from your dad, you don't hear it the same.
Yeah, you're like, whatever.
Brother who you look up to, who has been a mentor for you, tells you kind of the way that it is. You listen a little bit
Yeah.
differently, right? Because as you know, sevens can reframe and spin negatives into positives, and Will can say, no, 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 this is an issue. You need to be better about this, because life will teach you the hard way if you don't get going now.
Right.
And something that we have both watched, Joey and me, is they meet at one, right?
Yeah.
Sevens can draw from one energy and stress, and that can be a good thing. That means that they can see things a little more clearly and take action and get
Right.
going, and maybe tap into the way that not only they feel about what the situation is, but how others around them are being affected. And that can be helpful there. Will can draw from one in security, and we've watched that with him for the better part of the last year. He is a man on fire these days. His grades are great. He's working out like crazy. He's working. He took on a new sport in college, and he's really putting some effort into that. The social scene at Hendrix leaves a little to be desired, and he's taking an active role in trying to make it better. He's in a serious relationship, and he's working extremely hard at that because he values it. And he's just, the wheels are going 90 miles an hour right now. And as a 4 in the withdrawing stance, a body in motion stays in motion.
Yeah. Right.
And he is
Sure.
very much in motion. And we've actually used that language. He and I are the only ones around here that are in the withdrawing stance. I've gotten to a place where I'm kind of afraid to stop moving because I don't know what being
Yeah.
dead still will look like again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think he's experiencing that as well. He just really likes how things are going, and it takes so much effort to keep it going,
Sure.
but he's putting it in. He's putting
Yeah.
that work in. And so that is another way in which we see them kind of connect at one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
First of all, Will, slay. That's impressive. I'm thinking of all the 4s I know. Like, that's a very big deal to be able to do all that stuff. So, okay, we're approaching an hour, so I'm going to ask us our 2 kind of wrap up questions. So first I'm going to ask the boys. This is going to sound like a repeat question, and it's not. It's not meant to be. So I know you guys talk about Enneagram all the time in your family. I know we've been talking about Enneagram for the last hour. If we can take that out of our head, so you're just thinking about Billy, my dad. You're not thinking about Billy the 9, who's my dad. And when you think about, you both are kind of at the beginning of your adult life, right? And you're going forward and you're thinking about what kind of man you want to become and all this stuff, right? What do you think is like the number one thing that your dad either has taught you or has modeled, or something about who he is as a person that you would like to adopt into your own life? It can be related to him being a 9. It cannot be related to him being a 9, whatever.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I'm 20 years old, and there are lessons that my dad has taught me from a very young age that I have still ingrained in my body, in my mind, and that I want to continue to use through the rest of my life. One of the big things is, no matter what, regardless of how old you are, where you come from, anything, you treat everybody the same. You treat everybody with kindness.
Yeah.
Another big, value that he has instilled in me, when I first started at Hendrix, my freshman year, when they dropped me off of college and we moved me in and they were about to leave, he gave me a book, and it has all of these rules, not rules, but all of these lessons that he has learned from other people, that he has
He
learned
wrote
himself.
it? He wrote the book?
And he wrote it's just a book. It's probably 20 pages, and it has 100 something lessons that he's learned.
That's awesome.
And I make sure to, about once a month, go back through and read, to, maybe find a new lesson, find one lesson that I've been using that I just want to remind myself to keep using.
Yeah.
And I think that all of those lessons that he wrote in that book, I want to use in my life, because me being only 20 years old, I still have a lot to learn.
Sure.
I have a lot of life to live, hopefully. And, I'll learn my own lessons, and I won't learn the same lessons that he learned, but it really is helpful that I have that book.
Yeah, starting
and I
point,
have
yeah.
someone like my father who, learned all of those lessons.
That's incredible. Okay, give me
Yeah.
one lesson in the book. Just what is it? What is it? What's the number one that comes to your mind right now, other than be kind?
One lesson, it's not really a lesson, it's more of a tradition, but on my, you might have to help me, Dad, but it's when it is your significant other's birthday, you send flowers to their mom. When it is your wife's birth, when it is your children's birthday, you send flowers to your wife. And when I think it's whenever during your Mother's Day, or are those the only two?
Oh, that's it.
There
Yes.
you go.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm smiling. I know people can't see, but that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, Sam. What about you?
First thing if and when I become a dad, I hope I am half the dad he is, because he is an amazing dad. Two things that I've picked up from him. Number one, give your best effort in everything, as no matter the outcome. Like if you lose the game, but you tried your best, then you accomplished good.
Sure.
And another thing is that showing up matters. You could be a super quiet dad, but if you go to your kid's game, that really means something to them. Yeah.
I think that's great. All right, Billy. So you have a 4-part question because it's a 2-part question, but you have 2 sons.
Sure.
Okay. So we're going to time travel. We're going to go back to you're holding the boys for the first time in the hospital. They're newborn, right? So for each of your sons, in that moment when you're holding them for the first time, what would you tell yourself at that time? And I'm interested how it changes from boy to boy, right? And if you could give your newborn son one piece of advice, knowing everything that you know today, what would you tell them?
The first part, man, I wish I could tell you something that is just so profound
No,
and
whatever you have.
quotable, but it is as simple for me in talking about, advice for myself
Yes.
in terms of raising these boys, and that is have the courage to, this is using Joey's language, take up your own space. Show up and be the best version of yourself every day. I get it, that sounds cheesy, and that's what we should all be doing, but it's so easy for me to just fall asleep to my own life, and that includes being a parent and a spouse, a husband and a father. Like it, you wouldn't think that, right? But yeah, there are days where I wake up and it's like I'm in this cocoon and I've been in this hibernation and this slumber for years, and everything's so new, and it's like, what, the world asks so much of me, and it's hard sometimes just to do normal things because I don't feel like at the end of the day, whatever it is that I do, anybody else could do. So why give your best effort, right? And so that means now, in terms of Enneagram language, that means finding literal ways for myself to give myself more energy, having the courage to take up my own space and to be the best version of myself, so that all those negative traits that will creep up on me can be kind of pushed aside, at least momentarily, so that I can do my job as a husband and a father. So there's that. Now, in terms of what I would tell my boys, again, it's not all that profound and it's certainly not quotable, but it's funny, I guess it is kind of quotable. Right behind Will's head, there's a little framed thing on our wall that says, the world needs who you were made to be, right? And so we talk about this all the time when we're teaching Enneagram, when we're talking with others about it. There is no number that's better than another.
Right.
There is no person that does it better than someone else. We all need all of us. And therefore, we need to show up as the best versions of ourselves so that we can pick each other up. Like we're all on one big team and we all have positions to play or seats on the bus or whatever analogy you want to use. And it's not okay to not be the best version of yourself, right? Like you're letting your brother, your wife, your mom, your classmate, your friend down if you aren't taking on that responsibility. And then the second thing I would say is it is all going to be okay, right? I think Will needs to hear that in a different way than Sam does. But it still plays, right? Like the best part of you is the worst part of you. Will is maybe a little more better equipped, more better. Will is a little better equipped to do
Right.
life as an adult because he sees things that are missing and because things are real and not great sometimes. And so he can deal with it a little bit better. Like he's internally hardwired for that. Sam, because he is egregiously self-confident, as Joey would say, he can get himself into situations a little more easily, but he will have a more difficult time dealing with the reality of negative things. But for Will, everything's going to be okay. I really do mean that. No matter how
Lost
yucky
Wi-Fi.
it looks on the surface, it's going to be fine.
Right.
And if he can actually embrace that and deal with it, he's going to do just great. Sam, he can deal with that negative half range of emotions that we talk about sevens not wanting to deal with, live in some pain, live in some fear, live in some boredom, and come out alive on the other side. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So
Yep.
showing up and being the best version of yourself because the world needs who you were made to be, and living with the idea that it is going to be okay. Those are the things that I would have told my boys.
Yeah.
Holding them in the hospital.
That's great. This was lovely. Thank you all for being here. I don't know if you ever get tired of talking about the Enneagram, but thank you for talking about the Enneagram with me for another hour. This
Thank
was
you.
lovely.
Thank you.
Of
Thank you.
course.
Yeah, I feel like this was a free family therapy session. So
Yeah,
thank you.
that's what everyone always says. It always turns into family therapy. So.